To me, Mark was just one of the other Jewish disciples, right? But the idea that he was African is just really cool. Like, it just totally changes like the background of the person, and like just gives me a different image of who was writing it. It's a cool thing.
Welcome to the Bible in 1 Year podcast, brought to you by two Brits and a Bible.
Today's day 288, covering Mark 1, 2, and 3.
Alrighty, so into the Gospel according to Mark. An interesting one, this one, for the little overview, because he was technically a little bit anonymous. The Africa Bible very proudly mentioned that he was actually African. He was Libyan. He was probably a very young boy at the time of Jesus's ministry, but then he later traveled and worked with Paul and with Barnabas and stuff like that, which again, some of that's mentioned in the Bible Project videos. I might start to post little info stuff from the Africa and the Apologetics Bible, because there's a lot of really cool stuff in there that I never knew. And then interestingly enough, so a bit of disagreement there between whether it was written in the AD 50 times to the AD 130 times. So based on when and how old Mark was. And it was written far more angled towards the Gentiles than it was the Jews. And so it focuses a lot more on Jesus's actions rather than his teachings, because I feel like the teachings are far more applicable to Jews, whereas the Gentiles would theoretically care more about actually what was done. So it's kind of a little bit more punchy and factual, which works for an Amersham schoolboy. So yeah.
Are you saying that Mark is the official Gospel of Amersham School?
Not official. Maybe
okay. The unofficial official.
Yeah, that'll do.
Love that.
Also, yeah. I've got a new fidgety thing. It's a drone propeller on a straightened paperclip. And it seems like an absolute beast. It's really quite satisfying. So that's what we're playing with today.
I love that, mate. And honestly, part of what I love about doing this with you is those little moments that just are paradigm shifting. So to me, Mark was just one of the other Jewish disciples, right? But the idea that he was African is just really cool. Like, it just totally changes like the background of the person, and like just gives me a different image of who was writing it. It's a cool thing. So yeah, love that. I have 134. You have 122 if you
you do 134.
All right. So Jesus healed many who had various diseases. He also drove out many demons, but he would not let the demons speak because they knew who he was. Imagine how badass and how powerful that is. He's not only powerful enough to drive out the demons in the first place, as he's doing it, he's able to silence them so that they won't. And just the humility as well, that he doesn't want, this is before he, I guess, publicly declares his ministry, right? Yeah. So he doesn't want anyone to reveal that he is Messiah. And so he keeps the demons silent. He doesn't seek his own glorification or anything. And it reminds me of like all of the other people, like healing the leper and stuff, right? Where the leper gets healed, is like, is there anything I can do for you? And the one thing Jesus says is just don't tell anyone. Just make the offering to the temple, but don't tell anyone, right? Yeah.
And then he runs out being like, "Hey, look what happened!" So
yeah. It's absolutely. None of us apparently can manage to keep our mouths shut even.
Absolutely, dude. Question for you: do you remember? I know you've mentioned before that I brought you along to that sort of tent church Christian thing in Latimer. Do you remember what year that was? Would it have been the summer before I went to Uganda?
I feel like it was 2011 or 2012.
Well, 2012, I was in Uganda, so there's a good chance it's 2011, because I have a note on here from Mark 1, 35 to 39, dated Latimer 2011. So you would have been there hearing this message as well. And basically, it's this: Jesus prays in a solitary place. Very early in the morning, while it's still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, went to a solitary place where he prayed. Everyone's looking for you, like Simon and the companions came to find him. Wonder if that's the same Simon. No, it couldn't have been. We're back on a different story. His disciples came, everyone's looking for you. Jesus replied, "Let us go somewhere else." And just the whole point was God moves us on. That's sort of what I had written down there. Like, absolutely, it's fine to sort of stay where we are, and as long as we're continuing to grow, but God does move us on. And I think that's been true, obviously, for both of us in our lives now, living across the ocean from where we grew up, via Africa, via Australia for yourself, via so all sorts of different places. Like God moves us on, and we have to be open to that and willing to follow his guidance in that.
Yeah. Well, that's just so crazy to me as well, because like I can't remember any of what happened in that Latimer sermon, right? Other than, well, like some speaking in tongues and stuff, but other than that, I don't remember anything. And it's just that classic thing of like, whoever has ears to hear and eyes to see, right? Like at that point, I didn't. And so none of it resonated. So it's really cool that some of that message, because you did have ears to hear and eyes to see, still resonates and we can share it now.
And a Bible to write it in, because I wouldn't have remembered any of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so moving on to Mark 2, verse 4. Since they could not get the crippled man to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus and then lowered the man on a mat, right? And that's a great moment in The Chosen season 1. If you've never seen The Chosen, that's a great bit. I'll be honest, I thought that was just like an added fabricated bit, but it literally happened like that.
Yeah.
They took a disabled man onto the roof and then lowered him on a mat. And so, encourage you to watch The Chosen, but also this is maybe a bit cheesy, but just get inventive with how you get in touch with God. You don't have to do it exactly the same way everyone else does. So like, lower yourself down on a mat, hypothetically speaking, find creative ways to reach God if, the standard ways aren't working for you as well as you'd like. And don't give up, persist.
Yeah, absolutely. Within reason, like, because there's the whole don't put God to the test thing. So it's not like, right. Okay, God, if you're not going to listen to me, I'm going to
do this.
Do something stupid. Like, but yeah, get creative. I like the sound of that. That's cool, man.
Absolutely.
On 2 then, so I have a couple here, 2:17 and then 2:19. Just a couple of little Jesus punchy things which I quite like. On hearing this, Jesus said to them, because they're calling out Jesus eating with sinners and tax collectors, and Jesus is saying, it's not the healthy who need a doctor, those who are ill. I've not come to call the righteous, but the sinners. Love that. And then again, he's questioned about fasting, and he says, how can the guests of the bridegroom, this is 2:19, how can the guests of the bridegroom fast while he's with them? They can't, as long as he have them with him. But when the time will come when the bridegroom is taken, and then they will fast. It's this idea that, like, you fast to sort of try and get more in touch with Jesus and stuff. There are other reasons, but like when Jesus is there, why bother fasting? Why are you having a go at these guys for fasting? I'm right here. There will be a time when they need to fast, and I love the analogy of that as well. Like you go to the wedding, you're not going to be like, sorry, I'm not going to eat the wedding meal you've paid for. I'm fasting. Nah, screw that. I'm tucking in.
That's good, man. And then you got 2:21 as well, I think.
Yeah, 2:21. So where am I talking here? 2:21, 3:21. Sorry, mate, that's on me. 3:21.
All right, well, I'll quickly do 3:4 then. So 3 verse 4, Jesus asked them, which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save a life or to kill? And they remained silent. Imagine that. So they've seen this disabled person being healed miraculously in front of them, and they're cussing Jesus out for doing it on the Sabbath. And then when he says, well, what's better, evil or good? They remain silent. And it links to what you were saying yesterday, really, about the chief priests and stuff. These were wrongings. These were real sinful wrongings.
Yeah. They're so oblivious to it.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have eyes to see and ears to hear. So I can...
Yeah, absolutely, man. That common theme. Yeah, totally. The final thing that I was going to do, 3:21. Jesus is busy healing people again, big crowds, that he's not even able to have food. When his family heard about this, they went to take charge of him, for they said he is out of his mind. His own family thought he'd lost it. Yeah. Like, you will come against opposition. Sometimes it is your own friends and family. Stay true to what God has told you to do. Remain accountable, but stay true to what God's called you to do.
Absolutely. And that is better. So I love that. And that's very relevant to people like me who are the only Christian in their family, basically. So it can be difficult. But ultimately, Jesus talks about how if you love him, he came with the sword, right? To divide mother from father and children and from parents and stuff. So he comes first. It's that simple.
True.
And that doesn't mean dishonoring your family or parents, whatever. It just means ultimately the buck stops with Jesus, not with whatever. Anyway, I think that's everything from today, So pretty good timing again.
Yeah, love it. Tomorrow, Mark 4 and 5, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Love you all. Thank you.
Bye.